Om Namo Narayana, Om Namah Shivaya, Shiva Om, Shiva Hum, Om. Welcome to another Satsang with your host, Chuck the Yogi from the Yogi Cave. Let us continue sliding down the Kaula Jnana Nirnaya rabbit hole. All the universes with its stars and constellations, including the three worlds with all the movable and unmovables entities. By continuous practice, one may perceive the internal composition of one's own body, so you acquire a greater vision. The opening, as they say metaphorically, of the third eye. One becomes the creator and destroyer in a million ways. Jiva becomes Shiva, just like Shiva himself, who bestows on him all the 8 siddhis and as described in the Shastras, because Lord Shiva, Adi Yogi, is the first guru, and he passed the teachings on to the Saptarishis, or the 7 sages as they were known in Greece, and the rest is history. They moved out and went down those paths that the yogis know well and spread the teachings everywhere. And a lot of that's been obscured by history and politics and all that sort of stuff, but it's well understood, it's known, and the knowledge is preserved in the right places still. And this is what we're kind of conveying at this point. One will be worshipped by all the siddhas, just as they worship me. This Kaula knowledge should be imparted to the deserving one and to none else, the qualified one. One should be devoted to the Guru and to the Kaula Agama. One should always, Agama tradition, one should always worship the Devi, which is Ma, the maternal aspect of deity. This should always be concealed carefully, because it's occult knowledge, right? In other words, it's concealed. It's not given to the public. Now I speak of Lady of the Lady of the Kula, you who are worshipped by the gods. Listen to the knowledge higher than the previous one. By concentrating one's intention on the forehead with the group of letters installed, one becomes eloquent in many languages. One will feel the trembling of the limbs, kriyas. The cosmic sound, nada, will emanate from within, and one will experience a great dynamic vibration, kundalini rising. One will be able to assume any form one desires. Next, I will speak of another further secret. Listen carefully. One should meditate by bringing up the groups of letters established in the forehead to the middle of the crown of the skull and the inner regions of the skull. By continuously practicing this, one becomes a hero of Veda and can be free from the mundane rules of life. So, a liberated yogi is not beholden to the norms, social norms. He may carry them out superficially, but it doesn't mean that he's beholden to them. Oh, beloved of the yoginis, as a result of this practice, one becomes capable of creation and dissolution. He conquers both old age and death. There is no doubt about this. By applying this method, one becomes emancipated, moksha. Next, I will speak of the knowledge of the skill of practicing through the crown of the skull, Brahmarandra. By the regular practice of this, a wise man will overcome ailments and death. He will become equal to me, to Bhairava, in power, and will become capable of creation and dissolution. He will also enjoy the full state of independence, Kaivalya. He will be able to assume any form he likes. Thus, he will be established in the Kaulika. He will achieve steadiness of the mind, and he will be endowed with the power of clairaudience, be able to hear at a distance, or hear those things that humans can't hear. He will achieve full realization and will have the power to see from a distance, clear vision, I guess you could say. O Devi, the chakra of the forehead is secretly placed. By regularly practicing this, one becomes free from injuries as well as from insects, tigers, lions, and elephants, which were real dangers back then, right? And still are in the jungle. one can assume whatever form one can think about. This is the Kaula knowledge transmitted through a succession of masters, through the lineage. This is the essence of the knowledge that bestows emancipation. Therefore, the characteristics of the Kaula should be understood. One becomes as calm as a full carafe and as steady as a wall. Having been established in these stages, one becomes equal to the yoginis, who are the guardians of the Kaula, of the tradition. All one praised by the heroes. Next I will speak of another practice which is even higher. One should not meditate as if one were like water, fire, air, or sky above, below, or in the middle. When one becomes stiff like a piece of wood or stone, then one is established in the alert state of consciousness, totally detached and withdrawn. This is well known. I mean, when the Buddha achieved his enlightenment, he was completely motionless, wasn't even blinking for days on end. This is what we're talking about, being able to achieve that samadhi and utter stillness. Placing the non-void mind into the void, the wise man transcends the thoughts and enters into the state of absolute immobility, which is similar to the image of a vessel of a well in a village. Something similar to what I experienced the night before I left Ujjain. When a jiva is absorbed in the state, he hears inner sounds, nada, such as those of a kelodrum, a conch, a musical drum, a veena, a flute, or a buzzing noise. So eventually the yogi can become discriminating as far as like the different types of vibrations and what those vibrations represent and so on, because they all have a significance. Being above all the time, past, present, and future, he goes beyond that which has taken place in the past or that will take place in the future. Timeless. He becomes timeless. He becomes immortal. A second Kamadeva. A weapon would not pierce him. I could attest to that. Neither could a snake hurt him. And flowers will shower down upon him from heaven. One will be worshipped by the divine maiden serpents, just as it were for Hatakeshvara, Lord Shiva. I have narrated the knowledge of the 5 streams that lead to liberation. 5 are the senses. O Devi, through your devotion, the characteristics of the sphere of the Kaula have been revealed to you. Next, I am going to speak about the characteristics of the mudras, the hand gestures. One should establish the nameless in the heart, what the Buddhists call the void or the mind, the nameless in the heart. When visualizing the 12, the full cycle of being, one finds dazzling garlands of jewels. This mudra is called anama. It leads to the state of moving in the sky, being a skywalker. It is enclosed by the 5 mudras and enveloped in consciousness. One should break this door of bolted obstacles by discriminating between the 5 and the 12 in the path of Shakti. So the mystery of the 5 and the 12. 5 is sacred to Lord Shiva, and then obviously 12 months of the year, 12 disciples, the 12 labors of Hercules is deeply significant as well. So, things to meditate upon. After merging into the state of the Devi and the Yoginis, one gets established in the Matrika chakra, the mother chakra, united by the rules of the system. The Matrika chakra merges with the Kechari, celestial chakra, and this in turn excites the highest nectar to flow. So the whole idea of this internal yoga, right, this alchemy is for the ambrosia to flow within the body and to thus make the body resistant to hunger, thirst, heat, cold, age, disease, and so on. Of course, there's a higher significance to that. I'm just giving the externalities of it. All Devi, if this nectar is not flowing inside the body, how can one become immortal? The path of the Kaula is the way to promote this nectar. It is the same as the path of the art of lovemaking. Interesting. Please listen to it. This principle is situated with the natural and spontaneous one. It is dazzling like a stainless jewel, or like a pearl, or like a firefly. It is brilliant as a star in the sky. Tara, stada, the star. It is of several colors, such as white, red, yellow, black, or smoked color. It is the cause of creation dissolution. It comes into existence and then melts into the void. It is devoid of Kula and Akula, of the pairs of opposites. So I'm not going to go any further into it, but I do want to mention this idea of internal alchemy and sexuality, because the whole idea is to merge the opposite energies within the body, right? And if one engages in a ritual pertaining to Maituna, Congress, the whole idea is to be able to spark that within oneself. So it's not the same as becoming a whore or, being a libertine or anything like that. This goes much deeper. Anyway, Om Namo Narayana, Om Namah Shivaya, Shiva Om, Shiva Hum, Jai Ma, Jai Mahakal, Jai Bharava. Till next time.